In this video, I want to talk about something that's actually probably extremely common. And yeah, when I tried to look it up, I couldn't find any videos about it. I did find one documentary about narcissistic abuse in which every single person that was interviewed in that video talked about this happening to them. I've seen people talk about it in chat rooms, like on Facebook groups and on forums, and maybe it's happened to you. If you've dealt with a narcissist, it's probably happened to you. But we're talking about gaslighting, but we're talking about narcissists hiding things. And so when I would look up narcissist hiding things, it would show me videos about narcissists lying or cheating or like hiding what they were up to kind of thing. Not like actual hiding physical objects, which is what I'm talking about. The other thing that I'm going to do in this video is really get into the details of my experience with my mother gaslighting me and sabotaging me. All the things that I didn't want to get into in the vlog. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, I have a vlog channel called Quest Out West. I will link it in the description below, which is basically chronicling my escape from my narcissistic mother over the past several months. Because after I realized that she was a narcissist, I realized that she was manipulating me into staying with her and sabotaging my entire life, basically. So narcissists do this thing where they actually literally take your physical stuff and hide it and pretend like nothing happened. Gaslighting. But it's like crazy making stuff where you know you left something somewhere and it disappeared. And you're like, I know I left it here. Did you see it? Did you move it? And they're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Are you sure it was there? I don't think it was there. I'm pretty sure it wasn't there. Or whatever they're going to tell you to deny your version of reality, where you're like, no, I was pretty sure that it was there. And so you start questioning yourself, like maybe it wasn't really there. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Maybe I'm making this up. And then oftentimes the thing will just reappear where you thought you saw it, or where it was supposed to be, or it will reappear in a completely different location, even maybe a location that you're like, I'm 100% sure I did not put this here. But they do this stuff and then completely deny that they know anything about it, even though the whole time it was them taking your stuff and putting it somewhere else or hiding it on you or whatever it was, so that you start to question your memory, start to question your perception, start to question your own version of reality. And it's not only those particular scenarios that start to drive you nuts, it gets into your head, and then you start driving yourself crazy. And I'm going to explain this better with my situation. It had gotten to the point where I realized that this was going on because I had drawn clear boundaries, or I attempted to draw clear boundaries with my mother, where I'm like, this is my stuff, this is your stuff, this is my food, this is your food. We live separate lives now. I am leaving very soon, and I'm done with your shenanigans because I can see now that you're manipulating me. So don't touch my stuff. This is my food, my money, whatever. Your stuff, your food, your money. And then I could have control over what I eat. And I would also be spending my own money on my own food. But she wanted to not only control my life, my food, whatever, but she also wanted to be able to say, oh, my daughter's eating me out of house and home, and I just spent all this money on food for her, and blah, blah, blah. But she orchestrated it. So one of the things that she did was she started hiding my food. Also, another reason beyond that reason is because of the boundaries that I had drawn, she was trying to, I guess you would say, hoover me by trying to get me to react. She was provoking me to try to get me to react. I didn't want to talk to her because I was gray rocking her essentially, but with very clear intent. I'm like, okay, you go your way, I go mine. I don't want to have a conversation with you, because every time I would have a conversation with her, I would get mind ninja'd, right? So I'm like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And her way of getting me to talk to her was to provoke me, or one of the many ways. So at some point, I was 100% sure of what I had just ordered, and where I put it. And I opened the freezer one day and I'm like, my trout is gone. Like an entire trout is gone from the freezer. I'm like, I know I put it here because this is where everything is. I just put it here and now it seems to be gone. So I knew that she had taken it. I thought she probably gave it away or something, but I knew that it was gone and I knew that it was her. And I didn't say anything because I also knew that she was trying to provoke me into conversation, and I knew that I wasn't going to do anything. What was it going to do? Lead into an argument that goes in circles and goes nowhere, because there is no talking sense into a narcissist. There is no way to have a conversation with a narcissist where you're logical and you're like, well, I don't understand why you would do that. You understand that that would bother me, and I'm just trying to have my clear boundaries, and this is my stuff and that's your stuff. If you want to have a conversation with me, you should engage me in a mature way. Because that stuff doesn't work. Because they don't want to engage you in a mature way. They don't want to respect your boundaries. They want to play games and have control over you and mind ninja you. That's what they want. They want to screw with you. They want you to question your reality. So, anyways, I'm trying to remember the details because it was a while back. But I believe there was no more cat food in the freezer. So I feed my cats raw. It's basically frozen actual meat, so I put it in the freezer, and there was no more cat food in that freezer, and my trout was gone. And then I went to buy cat food, and I went to put that cat food into the freezer, and then like a day or two later, my trout's back in the freezer, behind the box of cat food that I had just put in the freezer. First of all, this is the freezer where my trout was. Do you really think it's very easy to lose a trout in a freezer like this? Or anything for that matter? Let alone a trout this big. It's not a tiny thing. It's not like there's too many places to hide it. So what she had done when she put it back was she put it, it was something like this, with the trout sticking out from behind the food. This is as far as it goes because it hits the back of the freezer, okay? So, don't you think I would have seen that while I was looking in this little fridge for my trout? Like I wouldn't see it right there. And not just that, but it was behind a box of cat food. A box of cat food that wasn't there the week before. I literally just bought that box a day or two after I gave the car back. So the trout had been missing for a week before that box of cat food was ever in the freezer. Okay? Let me say that a different way. Trout is gone. I look in freezer. I don't see trout anywhere. A week later, I buy the cat food. I put the cat food in the freezer. 2 days later, I find trout behind the cat food I just bought. Okay? I did not miss the trout. She put it back. Like, it was so unbelievably obvious to me that she actually took my trout and then put it back. And because I wasn't reacting to this, she escalated. That's what the other thing they do, is if they're not getting what they want, they find other buttons to push. So at some point, my frying pan, I have a stainless steel frying pan because I don't like to eat the plastic stuff on the sticky free frying pan. So it was my frying pan that I bought, that I used, that I brought there, whatever. So my frying pan that I used went missing. I'm like, okay, I think it was her. It is nowhere. I checked in the oven drawer, in every cabinet, on the stove, in the rack, everywhere. I looked everywhere and I'm like, I am aware that this pan is missing. It's just disappeared. I'm sure she hid it somewhere. I believe it was that night or something like that, or a day later, where I forget exactly the details of the context, but I think maybe we had a conversation or something. And so I hear her at like 3 o'clock in the morning get up, go downstairs, come upstairs, go in her room, get something, go back downstairs, come back upstairs. A couple hours later, I go downstairs, and lo and behold, there's my frying pan. So they do stuff like that. And at some point, which I think I have on recording, which you will likely hear if I do, where I confronted her about that. I'm like, well, I know you took my trout. I know you hid my frying pan. And she's just blatantly in my face, no, I didn't. I would never do that. I would never. I mean, she obviously doesn't really talk like that. But, you know, just complete denial. You sabotaged my car battery.
How the f*** did I sabotage
you?
You
went into the car and you turned the f***ing radio on and the
no,
car.
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Natasha,
okay.
I never touched your car.
You hid my frying pan.
How did I hide
You hid my trout.
What trout?
You ate my ground beef.
What ground beef?
Wow. Straight-faced denial. And that's probably around the time when I really, really realized, when I grasped how easy it is for her to lie straight to my face, right? This is my mother lying straight to my face. And then I started to question, what else has she lied about in my entire life? And then from this point, because now I am aware, now I'm paying attention, and now I am hiding my cards, I'm holding my cards, I'm not telling her what I know, it starts to get worse. Plus the fact that she's not getting what she wants, so she's escalating. And so I'm posting this video, I believe, right after the vlog video where I show that she sabotaged the car that I was driving. So I bought a van. The van was at the garage over the span of a few months, and in that time I wasn't really able to leave the house because she would allow me to use her car, but in order to use her car, first of all, she would have to be home, and I would have to tell her where I was going, how long I would be gone. I have to just basically answer to her. It was degrading, basically. And I just never went anywhere, basically. I never went anywhere because I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm going to wait till I get my van back. So I just avoided going places. And also, you know, the whole state of the world thing, I really, in Quebec, it was like really hardcore, and I just did not like going into public places and having to deal with the rules and all that. So, but sometimes I just had to go places. I had to get cat food. I had to feed my cats, you know. I can order my groceries, but I couldn't order cat foods. Anyways, I borrowed a car from my uncle, and so at that point I had a car. And I can tell where she's triggered. Basically, she's triggered, so you might notice if you've ever dealt with a narcissist or are dealing with one, that they are triggered anytime they notice that anytime you make a move, basically, where they feel threatened. So if you're happy, if you do something where you're successful, if you have a new friend, or you hang out with an old friend, or if you do something that's out of your regular schedule, that they can usually predict your actions. Whatever is going to give them the impression that you're an independent person and that they might be losing control over you. That might trigger them. And with my mother, that was a trigger. That was a trigger. Anytime I do anything, basically, was a trigger. So I tried not to leave the house when she was around to see me. But now I have this car in the driveway, and I can't hide the car. So one day, as I explained in the vlog, one day I'm getting ready to leave, and she tells me, and I hadn't left the house in like a week or so. It was freezing cold, and there was nothing to do. And she's like, so, oh, you're leaving? I'm like, yes, trying again to gray rock and avoid giving her any information. And she says, well, you're going to take my car, right? I'm like, no, why would I take your car? I'm going to take the car that I have. Like, why would I take your car? She says, well, your car is dead. She just knew that my car was dead. Very strange. Very, very strange. And so I reacted to that because I knew that she was being controlling, but I didn't understand the whole depth of the situation until I had time to think about it. And then I realized the only way that she would have known that the car was dead is if she killed the battery, because she made an assumption. Her story was that she knew the car was dead because I hadn't started it in like a week, and that it had reached like -20, and it doesn't make any sense. And I tested it on another occasion where I let the car sit in the driveway for like a week or two in like -20, and it was fine after. So that's totally like a fake story. And anyway, so I boosted the car. You'll see it in the vlog. And I start to question my reality. And I'm like, once I really faced the evidence that she sabotaged the car, I started to question my perception of reality, because I'm like, there's always that part of you that's like, but how can anyone do that? Like, why? What would bring someone to be so insane that you will go into a car that your daughter is driving and kill the battery just so you can have control? Like, what insane planet do you live on that you would do that? So there's that part of your mind that's like, well, this is way too crazy to be true, so maybe I'm making it up. But no, when you're dealing with a narcissist, those crazy things are really likely happening. They're crazy. They do crazy things. So anyway, the car thing happens. I'm like questioning my reality. Maybe I'm making this up, but I'm putting everything. Then I think the pen thing and the trout thing and whatever thing might have happened after that. I think. Anyways, yeah, I think that's what happened. I boosted the car, then all these other little things started to happen, and I started to really realize that this woman is constantly trying to screw with me and to provoke me, and or just to keep me under control, or whatever it is, the crazy things going on in her head. And so covertly she's doing all these super insane things, and it gets worse than this, that you'll see in the vlog. The link will be in the description if you're curious. It's just, I can't tell you now because it's a spoiler for a future episode, but it gets worse than this. So covertly, she's doing all these super insane things. And then on the surface, she's like, well, I would never do that. Are you insinuating that I'm crazy? Only a crazy person would do something like that. And if you think that maybe I'm just seeing things or exaggerating or whatever, and it's not really a big deal, or I'm making it up or whatever, something happens even further on into the story where I have absolute proof that she is a narcissist and she is doing these really nutballs things. And I'm going to put that recording on my channel in an upcoming video, because I have to go in order with the vlog. But I recorded a conversation with her that was super eye-opening, and I think that any of you who have dealt with narcissists, who are dealing with narcissists, or are curious about what narcissists do or how they think or whatever, you're gonna want to hear this. We need to get this information out because this stuff is so insane. The level of insanity is so deep, it gets so deep that of course people aren't gonna believe you. People who have never dealt with a narcissist, and even some who have, would not believe. Imagine I'm just like, yeah, my mom sabotaged my car. Who would believe that? Imagine I'm like, oh yeah, my mom hid my frying pan and she hid my food and all this stuff. Who would believe that? No one's gonna believe that. Some people watching this and hearing the whole story aren't gonna believe that. So hopefully the recording that I post in one of my next videos is gonna really shed some light on the depth of the insanity and how I'm not making this up, and how narcissists really do this crazy stuff and then look people directly in the face and act like they're the nicest people on the planet. And so your neighbors and your peers and whomever else, like if you're in a relationship with a narcissist and they're abusive, or even your parents or whatever it is, a work colleague or whatever it is, your boss, whatever it is, how you can be the target of abuse and you can see what they're really like, and then other people are just like, but they're the nicest person in the world. They wouldn't do that. Are you sure about that? I think you're just being paranoid. Oh, speaking of paranoid, just real quick. So after all these things start to happen and she's hiding my stuff and whatever else, I start getting so paranoid that at one point I couldn't find my hair mousse, and I thought it had been on my desk. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, she took it. Did she take my hair mousse? She must have hid my hair mousse. And like 20 minutes later, I found it underneath my bed. But that's what happens. They get into your head to the point where you become paranoid that everything might be them trying to screw with you, or at least a lot of things. Thanks for watching. I'm sure this video was very long, but thank you for watching, and I will have some really, really cool stuff to show you in the next couple videos. And please check out the vlog. It's going to be linked in the description. Thank you very much.